And we're live. That took a little bit. It took a little longer than I thought it was supposed to. Da-na-na-na.
Now, this is Productivity and Procrastination, and I am James.
And I'm Joe, and we're just a couple of dudes that are procrastinating too much, and we're looking to get productive.
And we're currently on our starter project to give us some experience called Project Pancake.
And you're listening to episode 12, or watching, or listening, or watching. Depends on where your medium is.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay. Well, let's start this episode 12. So how do you want to begin this, Joe?
I have some thoughts. So we've done a few different things this last week, and I'm kind of excited about them. So last week at the end of the episode, what we did was we basically uploaded the video and got it scheduled for Thursday, which was really nice because it made it so that that's the one less thing off my plate. Which means, I have one less thing to cross out on my goals list when I get it edited and uploaded on Sunday. But, it was really nice to have not that burden be entirely on my shoulders. It was like a team effort, which I really liked.
Nice. Yeah, I liked it too.
And then we came over here and did the storyboarding, which we'll talk about in a bit. But another thing that we did differently this week is we listened to the episode literally just before we pressed play for this. And so it was a really good reflection on last week. And it's like fresh in our minds, which I think is really cool. Like we used to listen to it. We still listen to it. Like we used to just listen to it separately. And then come into the thing. Like we'd listen to it throughout the week and then come into it, But this way we're it's fresh. Which is pretty cool.
Yes. Like a newly opened wound.
Yeah. You should have seen James while we were watching it. He looked like he was the conductor of the shame train.
Well, it's not as shameful as I probably looked. I was probably honing a little too much in on certain aspects and less on others. So do you want to talk about yours or you want to talk about mine?
We can start with mine. I drew most of the week. We did get the podcasting up to Apple, which is cool. We're now on Apple Podcast. And then we did the storyboarding. That's basically my goals.
Oh, what were your goals again? Sorry, I was too busy messing with my hair. That was quick.
Drawing daily, storyboarding, and podcasting to Apple.
Oh, okay. So, well, that's nice. Hey, I was a part of most of them. That's good.
Yes, you were.
So I feel like that somehow leads onto my list a little bit.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Well, let's discuss. Okay. Actually, let me go over my goals.
Well, let's go over your art first. How did your art go?
It was okay.
You have anything to show?
No, nothing I'm happy with. I want to work through. So I got this book, and it's from Steve Houston, who I really like his teaching style. He's passed, but I really like his teaching style. And so I picked up this book, and because I want to work on it while I'm at work. I want to be sitting down and working on it while I'm at work, but it's so hard to do that for me. Because it's when I'm at work, I feel like I want to just distract myself with something fun or something. Just distract myself with something, essentially, to make the time go by faster. So I'm struggling. I haven't even cracked this book. I was very excited to get it, and I haven't even cracked it. Because I don't know. I don't know what's holding me back. hard to describe.
So, what about your days off?
Well, with our system, how we have it set up, Thursday, like last night, I finished work. I did D&D with Ashton and Jade. And then basically I went to bed. So then I woke up today, and this is my first official day off. I didn't do... We did storyboarding last Saturday. I don't know. I don't know why I haven't taken the time. Okay. There is... And I'm sorry for, like, bouncing around. Like, things just are coming to me. There's a certain level of distraction in this area when I'm, like, sitting at my computer that it's hard for me to avoid. And this takes a little bit like breaking open a book and reading through it and practicing it takes a lot more concentration than just, like, you know, picking up my pencil and paper and just doodling. Like, I can do that, but actually, like, cracking a book, and it takes actual, like, thought, and I don't know. It's weird. Not weird. It's hard. It's challenging. Oh, I'm almost through this sketchbook, though. That's cool.
Nice.
Have to whip out another one. Thoughts?
So, have you ever opened a book and done art training? Like, or is this your first time?
No, I have some other books that every time I open it, like, I've sat down and I've opened a book and been like, okay, well, I already know that, so I'm gonna skip that page, and then I go to the next one, like, oh, I know that, I'm gonna skip that page, and eventually it becomes like, I mostly know that, I'm gonna skip that page, and then I don't do anything. So I've never actually worked out of a book.
Well, it just could be an experience thing, and you may want to think, okay, well, even though if I already know something, maybe if I just commit to following through this book and just seeing those redundancies that I've defined as just a step in the process, and, you know, just practice. There's never really a negative to practice, and I don't know, maybe that'll help.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a mindset thing. It's like, I want to figure out what I can do to actually make it through, like, the things I want to do. Specifically this book, because I'm actually very, very excited about this book. So I need to figure out what it's going to take to actually work through it. And so I'm going to actually put that as one of my goals this week, is to actually sit down and do, like, the first 2 pages of, like, actual drawing. Like, work through the first 2 pages.
Sounds good.
Just to get myself to open it and feel what it's like to work through it. And it should give me either A, success, or B, more content for next week.
Is that what I should call this for my own self? Content.
Well, I mean, we're not here to shame anyone, because we all have our own struggles, and, like, it's not about, like, oh, you did a bad job. It's about, like, examining what roadblocks we have and, like, what we can do to try to sidestep those. All right. I'm so thirsty.
Well, do you have any of your coveted water around?
No, it's empty.
No backup water?
No.
You should get a milk carton of water or something and have it in your fridge for, like, emergencies.
Emergencies. I should. All right.
Well, you could go get some water and I'll ramble on.
Okay.
Alone.
Yes, I love that. I love that idea for us. Carry us.
Oh. You have me alone. Look at him trotting off into the sunset. Okay, so I feel like my week went not so great. And I don't, maybe if I should probably tell him this when I get back, so I will probably do that. But I feel a little let down from myself because I procrastinated I had some time, but I just kept on pushing it off, and I thought that my days would just build on themselves, and I just kept on pushing it off to another time to get a lot of my things done. And my major goal that I feel a little let down on is that I wanted to just feel good about what I did. And I think that is why I don't feel good.
What are you talking about? You talking smack?
Of course!
What?
Welcome back with your water.
Still on the water train.
Nice.
There was the tiniest bit of temptation last week to buy a 24-pack.
Oh.
Oh, there was a temptation. I was like, that sounds tasty. Then I was like, ugh, then if I buy it, I have to keep buying it. And then I was like, I don't want to spend that much money. I'm already broke as it is.
What if there was like a special day that you could allow yourself to have, like let's say, oh, it's Friday. I get to allow myself one of my chilled Diet Coke. No,
That wouldn't last long enough. I know who I am, and if it's in this house, if it's in my room, and it's mine, it will not last.
I understand.
I'll fall back into
All
old
right.
habits.
So,
It's like the one addiction that I guess I wouldn't even say it's an addiction because there's no like addictive quality to it, but
well, there's not addictive quality to ranch either, but I somehow
I beg to differ. Ranch is incredible. They gotta put something in that. Okay, so we've examined my goals, my stopping points on like what's pausing me. We talked about the storyboarding that we didn't talk about, I just mentioned that we did it. What about you, James?
you complete that sentence.
So as director of the shame train, how was
I like to call myself the conductor of the shame train.
how was your last week? And what obstacles did you face? Okay, well, so let's start the day. Let's start the day. We start the day. We recorded our episode.
Yes.
You came over. We had some very delicious Chinese food, which I'm going to be having again today.
Yes.
We watched something, we listened to some cello music, which we loved.
Yes.
And then we worked on getting this uploaded to Apple. We then did storyboarding.
Which we did not fight about, and we had some progress.
Yeah, great success.
Then one of my stumbling blocks happened.
You got sleepy over here. I do remember that.
Yeah, that just happens when I eat a little too much
Oh, you get sleepy.
carbohydrates. I blame you for all my problems.
That's, that is fair. You wouldn't be the
And then
first.
I blame you for another one.
All right, bring it.
You gave me a certain game to play called Fantasy Life.
Did you try it?
Yes, I think I've put a little too many hours in this thing.
Oh, yay! I'm so happy to hear that. Do you like it?
I like it so far. I've been a paladin. Then I went to a miner. Then I needed to use my mining thing, so I became a blacksmith.
Yep.
Then I needed some wood, so I became a harvester guy.
That's the fucking game right there.
Then as I'm completing all these things, I became a carpenter so that I could use my wood to upgrade better stuff for my blacksmithing. And
I love how they're all interconnected.
And then as I was getting salivated towards all these fish I can't catch, I just became an angler.
Hell yeah. All right, so
kind of what was going on a little bit.
Nice. So that's the type of game I want to make, where like all these classes, and like talk to me about the actual crafting. Do you feel more like do you feel more engaged with the crafting? Because it's like a mini game.
Yeah, I've always I've never played a game that was a mini game in the crafting, and I always kind of like talk to people about, hey, there should be some like, and that at least had some. It probably wasn't as involved and as stat based as I wanted it to be, because my idea was far more detailed.
No,
but
absolutely.
It was something.
Yes,
and that was better than the nothing that all these games do. Yeah, there's a lot about the game. I really like the 3D element too. It really was, just nice having a little 3D game. I did enjoy it. It was a little too dialogue heavy, especially in the beginning.
In the beginning, it's pretty heavy, but
it's like, and I somehow managed to believe I needed every single tutorial for every single class, even though I knew I didn't. I still somehow could say no in the beginning, but then when they're like, "Are you sure?" and I'm like, "No, I'll do it," regardless. So I've trapped myself in that. But no, I've enjoyed the game. I've probably put upwards of 10 hours.
Hell yeah, dude!
Into it.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, because that's the kind of game I want to make, but like better.
Well, I have a lot of ideas because of that, and I know how I would like to make it better from the start. So yeah, we can discuss that at some point if we want to. Maybe when I come over there on a Saturday, we can break it down and see what you think.
That makes me very excited that you actually gave it a shot and enjoyed it.
I did. It makes me want to get a 3DS, because I'm like, oh, this is so convenient. I can just
by the way, it's
close
2-player.
it and open it. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I think it's actually upwards of 4 players, but.
Yeah, I could tell it was multi, but I was like, I don't know. I want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit of that. A lot of that. And let's see. So I pushed off every single productivity thing I did this week. I pushed it off. I was like, I'll just play a little, whatever we did. I can't even remember what we did. I pushed it off every single day. I thought I would just, do it the next time. I kept on redefining, I'll just work, I kept on just telling myself that, okay, the major point is I kept on postponing the negative feelings to this other day. Okay? Like, I had talked last week about, these days should build on themselves, and I should be, if I set this day up, it will bleed into the next one, and it will set me up for the next one. And I pushed off that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't do it. I'll just do it the next time. So there was never that feeling of the bleeding. It
Mm-hmm.
never happened until the very last night, which was last night. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything. I've spent all day today shopping and doing all sorts of stuff. I need to at least have an hour where I'm working on this stuff. And so I started working. And I had to say no to some games with people, and I said, "Oh, I promise I'll play with you Friday night a little bit if you just leave me alone tonight." So I started working. I listened to the first section of that book that you gave me while I was cleaning off my desk at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, and it was funny because I mean, some of the stuff I was talking with Heather about, like what I agreed with and what I didn't agree with as the book was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "Oh, this sounds like some of this like one lady that I see all these like TikTok memes on. It's like, oh, you look at a shirt, and you're like, oh, does this shirt bring me joy?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and so she was making fun of that, and then but I never heard any of that. And then after I listened to this thing, she's like, "It sounds." I mean, what's the name of that lady anyway? Who wrote that book, and we said the name, and she's like, "That's her." And I'm like, oh my gosh! So we had a kind of a little fun time listening to that together, and while she was working and I was working. Um, so I got my desk cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things that according to that book, it isn't complete because there's still things that I need to get rid of in a way. I've got like a hard drive. An old hard drive. I want to find out what's on it. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see if I can connect it. I have all the equipment. It's been sitting here for years, but I've never done it. So, so there are some things that are like, yes, I want to get rid of those things. It's just I've never made the time to get rid of it. The things that I have to do, and I have boxes of that type of crap. I've got, I've got stuff that I just need. It's going to take some time. Each
Mm-hmm.
thing is going to be like once it's done, it's hopefully finally done.
Right.
So to some degree, I agree with a lot of what is said in there. Um, However, there's a lot I don't.
Oh yeah, like
But
what?
like like to some degree, I don't agree with getting rid of all the things you're going to get rid of before you figure out places for everything. I don't agree with that because um, there are just when me and Heather did our clean out of various rooms, and we were successful in it. It was kind of like a little bit of a hybrid. We would do sections. Okay, like
Mm-hmm.
let's say we're in the bedroom. Eventually, we've worked our way to the closet, and now it's like, okay, now we're going to take all of her stuff out of the closet, and we're going to one at a time lift it up and go, hey, have we even put this thing on? Do we even like it?
Mm-hmm.
So she would first give me her opinion on it, like what she feels about it. If she loved it, I wouldn't say a thing. She would keep it. If she wasn't sure, then she would go, okay, what's your opinion on it? And I would say, oh, I hate that, or yeah, I like that. Keep it. I like that one. Um, and then we would just kind of like do that. So there was a little bit of a hey, does this thing bring
Yeah.
some happiness in my life or not?
Right.
We had already done that, like intrinsically, alone. Um, so I agree with that type of mentality. But if we were going to go through our entire room and get rid of all the things, like first, I sometimes there's so much stuff in some of these things. What am I going to do that in my garage first? Am I gonna somehow get rid of all the things before
So
I open
something
every
about
box?
that
And
book I would
it's
recommend is
ridiculous.
listening it all the way through before beginning the process, because it goes through a lot of like how to do this throughout the book.
Ah, well, there most of it I agree with. Just a little nitpicky points, that I think are very specific to how messy people are. I mean, you can't. There's a lot of that you can't do if you're a hoarder. I mean, what are you gonna, or you gonna throw away everything before you open every box? I mean, you can't even get to each box. So there's just like little differences that are going to be impossible for
Mm-hmm.
certain situations. I think it's situational, but the general idea of each place or each item in your life has a place. I
Mm-hmm.
totally agree with,
I love that.
because
And that's what I really like to have is like I like things having their location, and then when I'm done with that thing, it goes back to its location, and then you're just automatically tidying everything.
yeah, I feel like when it has its own location, then it is easy to clean up, and there is no real cleanup that has to be done because everything does have its place. I totally agree with that. That's what I would like to and I to the extent that I don't have to do a hour plus long project to get rid of an item. I have done it on my desk. It is done. So I have cleaned off my desk. That is something I did do, and I feel good about it. I like the placement of pretty much everything, and the things that I don't, I will fix in time
That's
here.
awesome.
So yeah.
And if you guys
Um,
are wondering, it's Marie Kondo's Magic of Tidying, I think is what it's called. It's like it's like 4.5 hour long audiobook. But you can also probably find it somewhere else if you don't want to pay for it.
let's see. Um, but I didn't write. I didn't even write a sentence, which was what you suggested I write down as a goal, and I never did. And now I'm to the point where I agree. I will write a sentence, and then I also appended that with, I'm going to write down my word count afterwards. So at least
Ooh, that's fun.
I think, because that gives me a good understanding of, to a certain degree, I think the estimation of a good word count in for a writer in a for a good
I
day's work was
I
around
think. Go
2,000.
ahead. Okay,
So, and
that's feels
that's
like
a
a
lot of
lot,
it's a lot of work, and
and I
some
think
some can't. Some can only do 500, some 1,000.
I'm
Um,
concerned. Here's my concern. I'm concerned that you're trying to force your like pigeonhole yourself into what you think a writer should be doing, rather than realizing you are a writer, and it's whatever you are doing is your standard.
I'm not going to make that a goal like the 2,000. I'm just stating what,
I
like,
feel like you're
okay.
robbing yourself of joy. Because no matter what number you write down there, no matter how well you did, if it's not like 2,000 or greater, you're going to feel a sense of shame or disappointment in yourself.
Well, I need to have some kind of
No,
gauge
you don't.
to. I'm not saying gauge of like what is good. I just can't. I can't come back. Let's say, and it's something like, oh yeah, I have my sentence checked off, and I wrote,
You're not
and
that
then
kind of
okay,
person.
did you write? How much did you write? Because that's you responding to me, and
That's how I sound, yeah. Sounds about right.
and then I say, oh, I wrote 50 words. You know, like that isn't a. I'm sorry, that's not good enough. I need to have some kind of gauge on how to gauge if I wrote a decent amount or not.
Okay.
I not necessarily say that there's a good or bad or anything like that. Just to have some kind of a statistic that I can mathematically go off to at least display how much writing I've done.
Yes,
That's
I
all.
completely agree. I completely agree that it's important to have like how many words you wrote, and like you can compare it to last week and like this current week. Having that measure, I think is really good. But big but here, you're also not considering what it takes just to sit down and write a sentence.
Yes, you're right. And the 2,000 words is just kind of like, okay, yeah, that's like, what Stephen King would sit down and write in a day if he wanted to get a good day's work done, in his opinion. That's his word countage, what he likes to go for. And a lot of writers have that same kind of standard, 2,000 words, because that's, an average novel, let's say 60,000 words. Okay, 2,000 words is a chunk, So that's all. But if I, can only do 250 this week,
That's
it's still
great.
there's
That's
still a few
incredible.
paragraphs. That's still, something. I'm not gonna beat myself over it, but I also want to pat myself on the back if at some point I have, 4,000. I
Yeah,
want some
absolutely.
kind of a gauge
No, I
of
mean,
what I've done. That's all.
and I think I think it is important to write down how many words you have, like your words you write. I think that's important, absolutely. I just don't want you to rob yourself of a good job because you're not meeting with these perfect standards that you set for yourself.
Right. Right.
Because you have a tendency to be a perfectionist, and
I do.
I try to pull you out of that.
However, Marie Kondo did say that for people who she described as very similar to myself, I might add, perfection, in her opinion, was the best way to go about it.
Yes,
So
for setting up your house, not
that
writing a
is
book.
not just mutually exclusive.
Yes, it is.
That has parallels to everything in life, Joe.
You're a loon, an absolute loon.
Possibly.
Okay, so I am very happy that you did both of those things. You played the game I wanted you to try out, because hot damn, I love that game. There's so much about that game I love. And you listened to the book. That's really cool. That makes me happy. I like sharing things with people, like sharing my favorites of stuff or my thoughts on things. And it's exciting to see you like engage with them. Now, even if you didn't like them, I'm happy that you took the time to engage with them. If that makes sense.
No, I enjoyed getting some stuff done last night, and the only thing that just made me feel bad was that I wanted to feel like I put my all in this last week, and I really don't feel like I did. I put a Band-Aid on it at the end, which is fine. I had an okay week, but that's not the week I wanted to have. And
Right.
so I do feel a little disappointed in that way. However, I have gathered some more data on myself and
You want to share that
how
with us?
yeah, it's just the whole pushing off the feelings. Like I pushed off the negative feelings of me not doing something that day to another day. I'm like, oh, I'll just do it. I'll just make up. And then on Thursday, all day. No, none of that stuff happened. And then at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to feel like complete crap if I wake up on Friday and I have to say I didn't do anything. I've got to get something done tonight. And then I came in the room, I started looking at my list, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to start my desk. And I did it, and I feel good about that.
Yeah,
And
you
it
should.
took longer than I thought, and that's okay because I was listening to the audiobook out loud at the same time. And so I feel good about that, but I want to feel good more than just the last day now. I
Right.
want to feel the goodness and not just necessarily not feeling the negative.
Right. I
So,
mean, there's such it's like there's such a juxtaposition too. It's like either you feel shitty about the work you've put in, or you feel this like sense of warmth about the work you've put in. And so it's like, how do we make that, like, how do we accomplish that? Because today, like, your business day or your work day is Friday, correct? Like, today's your work day.
yeah.
So what if, I mean, it's up to you. I'm trying to figure out a way to encourage you to work on Friday and get that done today. And then the other 2 days that you have are, or yeah, the other 2 days are, you don't get to work on those days. Or something like that to encourage you to get just your stuff done today.
Well, I think as long as there is a major push today, I don't necessarily have to get every single thing done today,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I've got to get to the point where the big part was worked on. Like right now I have the major time. Okay, so here's the major stress, gone. I feel good. I have all that time. There's no negative thoughts at all. This is the time to work on the big stuff. The writing block should be today. If I can do the writing block today, even if I don't do anything else, I'll feel pretty stinking good because that's the big thing. And if you handle the big stuff, I have this this little screensaver. On my computer I have this directory of wallpapers, okay? And I have them scroll every minute, And one of them was just this stupid picture of these rocks and sand and pebbles and stuff into jars, okay? And I have this I threw like a little text thing in the bottom. I said, take care of the rocks and first, and then afterwards deal with the pebbles and the sand. And that was just basically saying, hey, take care of the big stuff in your life that you want to take care of, and then work on the other stuff later, and they'll just fill in the in betweens.
Right.
And I'd like to make that how I deal with the week. As long as I get the big rocks out of the way, then the rest is gonna fill in quite nicely, I would imagine. So
Yeah. No, I like it. Okay, cool. Is there anything else we want to discuss before we end it here? So, what goals do you have written down?
why nothing, Joe?
It's important we write those down.
Okay, so I'm going to write down that I want to write a sentence.
Write a sentence. I think that's a really good starting place, and then afterwards you write in your, because I mean there's so much just to starting the sentence. It means you're in the mindset.
Opened the program.
You've
sat down.
You've taken your time. You've designated this as writing time, and you've actually thought about like what you're writing about, like how you want to say it. There's a lot to just making one sentence. Because like once you make that one sentence, it's easy to make one more sentence. But that's not necessarily the goal. The goal is to get you in that space.
Yes.
And getting comfortable getting into that space.
So I want to do that. Then I have word total with the blank.
Yep.
And then beyond that, um, I want to try to get this hard drive off of my desk that has been here for 3 years.
Okay.
That could take a few hours to deal with.
Sounds like it might be
But
worth it though for that
it
free
would be
real estate.
nice.
That
Yeah, it's this thing sitting here. A 3-year-old goal that
sounds like a
also
rock to
is
me.
about that. Yeah, it's an annoying thing that it's just, it could be a nice decoration spot on my desk, I tell you. It's spinning. Okay, so yeah, I want to get more of my environment cleaned up and out and put in place. And now, if I did those 3 things, how would I feel? I'd probably feel pretty good if I just complete those 3. Things I would like to do on top of that, I'd probably like to play a little bit more of that Fantasy Life. I don't know if I should write it down as a goal,
You should,
but I will. I also want to get a little farther in Sunhaven.
yeah.
I fought the final boss.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
He obliterated me. And put it that way. And let's see. I don't know what else my goals are. I just want to get more of this week feeling like it's a normal routine. I adore 410s.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. Where have you been all my life? Again, I will say it. It's that good.
It is nice.
It's that good. If any of you are contemplating the possibility, jump on it because, oh my goodness.
I still feel like for me, like 410s is nice. It just feels like on the 410s days, like I just like the 4 days, I feel like I don't have enough time for myself. Or like it feels like if I was doing 8 hours, I would have 2 extra hours to myself, which would be cool. But it's not worth giving up that extra day. Like I basically have to set my life up in a special way because it's 410s because I don't trust myself to do anything else other than just exist after my 10-hour days. Or they're more like 11 and a half after you count lunches.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I have more time and I feel like I work less, even though I work 2 hours more. It's weird. Love it. Can't say it's, yeah. But anyway, yeah, no, I'll just feel pretty good if I can just write today and
get that hard drive set up.
And the hard drive, that's a big thing. I'm hoping I can get rid of that. If I can do both of those, I'll feel like I did pretty well on that. Talked to Heather about setting up a website for us. We have the template now. We have the domain name. We have the hosting site. We have it all.
Oh, fancy.
And whenever we want to start working on that at some point, we can. We can always make shirts because we're pros at that. And, design us up some stuff. So whenever you want to work on that, we can. Probably not for a while, but, just note that when we want to do it, we can.
Heck yeah.
And,
sounds good.
And anything what are you going to put on your list, Joe?
Oh, yeah. So this week I have worked through the first 2 pages of my book that I'm wanting to dive into. And then I have a draw daily. And that's all I have for like hard goals. I know next week we are going to be coming over and we're going to be doing probably Chinese food again. And then storyboarding. Next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so draw daily. What was your other?
Work through 2 pages of the book that I mentioned that I want to work through.
Got it. Good old book work.
Book work.
I love it. Okay. All right. Well then.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I think we are good for this week. Unless there's anything else you want to discuss before we head out. How are you feeling? No. Let me ask you. How are you feeling about the project? Like, how are you? Like, where are you?
Project Pancake?
Yeah.
I feel like it's... What do I start with? I think at any point we can just like get a lot of this stuff done somehow. Like if we really wanted to, if we focused on getting this done, I think we could. We could probably say, okay, we're going to work together on the storyboard, which is a valuable thing together in the same room. That's
Agreed.
good. And then
so good.
Also, once we have a pattern established, which I think we could very quickly kind of do that, then I think we could also potentially find a little bit of time to maybe find out how we could work online together, like for a short period of time on storyboarding, find out what program would be best, find out kind of like how we would be able to work in both spaces. I don't think that should mean we should stop doing the in-person stuff. I just think that it should augment it. Then, if we were able to do that, we could fast track the creation of this project, and we could then it would put stress on us to finish the KDP aspect of it, maybe check out some of those other publishing avenues. And but that whole talk that I just said, the only reason I haven't said, hey, let's do this, is because I'm observing myself and going, okay, yeah, but let's get some track record of some successes of personal nature over the course of a few weeks. And once you're to the point where it's like the success train is going on,
right?
You both feel good about your production personally over a period of time, and then we'll be ready to jump into something like that. But I guess I haven't pushed it because I think we may be pushing ourselves a little too hard, obviously, with the production that's going on, and I think it's very short before we'll be to that point where it'll be like, hey man, let's bust this out, let's get this stuff done. That's what I'm feeling. So I don't want you to think that I'm anything negative at all. I think I'm just I'm being less hard on myself and going, okay, let's be realistic here. You're struggling with just getting your simple tasks done each week. Let's get to the point where we have some momentum. Things, you have this under control. You've learned how your weeks are. and then we can push to kind of bust some of this stuff out.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel.
I like that. I'll talk about how I feel in just a second. I did, with what you said, I did add something to my list of goals, which is find a program that we could storyboard together. So that way we have that option as well. So I just added that to my list of goals to include. So I feel motivated. I feel excited. I feel like rewatching our last week and reflecting on it really drove home a lot of like concepts this week, where it's, I don't know, drove home is a dumb word or dumb phrase, but what I mean is, like, I feel like watching our previous week and comparing it to what we thought how it was going to go and that type of stuff. And this isn't to call you out specifically, but you just happen to be a big advocate last week. And realizing our faults and realizing our weaknesses and being willing to work with them and work past them, and like basically we're figuring out what works for us, and rather than trying to set expectations, like you said, set expectations in a realistic way and build on those. Or like, I feel like we have a really good base being built, like a base for productivity, and it's only going to get better. I think, yeah, I think that's the best way to say it, is like, I feel motivated. I feel excited. I feel like we're on the right track is what I feel like.
Yeah, I will agree. I think that as well. And I'm trying not to be too hard on myself. I think when we're ready, we'll both be ready. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not going to be just like, and we're still making steps along the way. It's not like, oh, hey, we're not doing anything, and then all of a sudden nothing's getting done, and then, you know, it fizzles. It's more like we're realizing our faults, and we are exploring them and how to become better people so that we can work better as well. Because there's years and years of missed thoughts and all these things that give you this idea of what you are, what you can do, and what you can't do. That we have to basically analyze and work through and sift through and figure out what's true, what's not, and try out these different things. And we are making steps towards our goals. Like next weekend, either we're going to be working on the program we're drawing together, or you'll be coming over here and we'll be doing storyboarding. So one way or the other, we'll be doing storyboarding next week, which means just more productivity. It's not like we're not doing things. It's just, you know, we're trying to figure out how to do things consistently.
Yeah, I'm hopeful this week. I'm not going to put so much emphasis on perfection this week. Like, oh, I'm going to blow it out of the water. I would like to, but I want to establish at least a pattern of success before I put emotional, you know, like the scales of emotion, you know, and productivity all are in the same. No.
And I think part of our thing has been like make goals easy and achievable. And I think part of that may be you like put too much pressure on your goals, like too much pressure on yourself to accomplish these grand goals.
And honestly, I thought I was just gonna, oh yeah, right now I'm ready to just be all business, all. Dude, I'm not ready for that.
No, and that's okay.
I need to scale up over time.
Yeah, or maybe you'll never be business all the time, and that's okay maybe too, as long as you're working on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel good.
I do too.
So next week, I'm looking forward to seeing how I feel and what I've accomplished. I'm looking forward to seeing if my goals can be accomplished today. Like if I make the time, I want to see how that works out. And I'm excited to see if you did your 2 pages and how your drawing went. And if you found that program, well, thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. If you so desire, and
if you crave it. You'll find links to the Discord in the doobly doo. That's both on YouTube and Spotify, and I'm assuming Apple. I'm assuming that copies over the links. I don't know. That's a weird place. It's a weird, dark, scary place. But yeah, thanks for watching. And you want to close it out with an enlightening phrase?
be great.
You heard it first. Be great, or ultra, but never be a master.